He was just a janitor to everyone else, invisible in his khaki uniform and calloused hands, but to the grand piano tucked in the corner of the hotel lobby, he was a ghost of something forgotten, someone who once mattered. Every night after the guests left and the chandeliers dimmed, he would gently wipe the dust from the black and ivory keys, his fingers pausing like they remembered a time they belonged there. But no one ever asked his name. No one ever noticed the way his gaze lingered a little longer on the Steinway. No one, until she did. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unseen talent, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us share more emotional, uplifting stories that matter. Her name was Veronica Langford, a sharp, stunning CEO of a luxury hotel chain, known as much for her elegance as for her biting tongue. She walked like she owned the ground beneath her heels, and perhaps she did. One late evening, during an inspection visit to the hotel, she caught the janitor softly humming near the piano. She raised an eyebrow as if amused. "Do you even know what that is?" she asked, gesturing to the piano. Her voice was laced with mockery. The janitor, David, nodded gently without looking up. "Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major," he replied, his voice calm and steady, though his heart thudded against years of shame and silence. Veronica laughed, a cruel, hollow sound. "If you can actually play Chopin," she smirked, "I'll marry you." Her words were intended to humiliate, a challenge not meant to be taken seriously, but David's eyes didn't waver. She turned and walked away before he could respond, not realizing that her arrogant joke had just unlocked a door that had remained sealed for decades. David's past was a symphony of broken dreams. He had once been a prodigy, a rising star trained at a European conservatory before life and loss silenced his music. A car crash had stolen his mother, his scholarship, and the only piano he'd ever owned. Homelessness followed. He cleaned toilets to survive, not because he lacked talent, but because the world had no patience for grief or broken wings. His only solace was the stolen minutes he spent brushing his fingers along the keys, pretending he still belonged in the world of melody and meaning. That night, something shifted. David couldn't sleep. Her words rang in his ears like a cruel dare, but beneath the sarcasm was an opportunity, a crack of light in a wall of darkness. For days, he practiced in secret, coming in early and staying late, making sure no one saw. His fingers stumbled at first, stiff from years of disuse, but slowly the music returned. It was not just notes, it was memory, it was hope, it was everything he had buried beneath the janitor's uniform. A week later, Veronica returned to the hotel for a formal fundraiser. The lobby was filled with guests in glittering gowns and crisp tuxedos. A jazz trio was scheduled to play, but due to a last-minute cancellation, the piano stood quietly, waiting. David saw his chance. He removed his gloves, his apron, and slowly walked to the bench. The room fell into a hush as he sat down. Most guests thought he was just moving the piano, maybe cleaning it. But when he placed his fingers on the keys and began to play, something incredible happened. The haunting, elegant notes of Chopin filled the lobby like a forgotten prayer. Conversations stopped. Glasses froze mid-air. Veronica turned sharply, confusion washing over her face as she saw the janitor, her janitor, commanding the room with nothing but his hands and heart. The music poured out of him, not just as sound but as truth. Pain, love, loss, and healing were all stitched into each measure. The lobby melted into a quiet cathedral of emotion. Some guests wept without knowing why. Veronica stood motionless, her face pale, her lips parted in awe. For the first time in a long time, she was speechless. When he finished, the silence lingered, as if no one dared disturb the sacred air he had created. Then came the applause, hesitant at first, then roaring, overwhelming. But David didn't smile. He stood, bowed slightly, and walked away without looking at her. He had already said everything he needed to say with his music. Veronica approached him later, her usual poise shaken. "Why didn't you ever tell anyone?" she whispered. David simply replied, "No one ever asked." Her eyes welled up with something that looked a lot like regret, but he wasn't looking for an apology. She had offered marriage as a joke. He had answered with dignity, not desperation. From that day on, David no longer wore a janitor's uniform. Veronica offered him a permanent role as the hotel's resident pianist. But more than that, she changed, softer, kinder, humbled. Sometimes, she would sit by the piano as he played, listening not just with her ears, but with her heart. If this story touched your heart, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Kindness Corner for more inspiring stories. Every view, comment, and share helps us spread kindness where it's needed most. Speech balloon before you go, please leave a comment. What would you have done if you were in David's shoes? We'd love to hear your thoughts and stories.